I never thought I'd be the kind of guy to install hidden cameras in my own house, but here we are. And before anyone judges me, I didn't start there. I wasn't paranoid. I wasn't controlling. I was just a husband who slowly realized something was very, very wrong. My wife and I had been married for 8 years. No kids. Just us, a quiet life, routines, and what I thought was trust. She used to be warm, affectionate. The kind of person who would text me just to say she missed me, even if I'd only been gone for an hour. But about 6 months ago, things started to shift. At first, it was small. She became distant. Not cold exactly, just off. Like she was always somewhere else mentally. Conversations became shorter. Eye contact disappeared. And the worst part? She stopped laughing. That genuine laugh she had, it was just gone. Then came the phone. She used to leave it lying around. No problem. Suddenly it was glued to her hand. Always face down. Always locked. She started taking it into the bathroom, even for quick trips. If I walked into a room, she'd tilt the screen away slightly. Not enough to be obvious, but enough for me to notice. I told myself I was overthinking. Everyone goes through phases, right? Work stress, life stress. Maybe she was just dealing with something and didn't want to burden me. That's what I believed, until the nights started changing. She began going out more. Girls' nights, she said. At first, once a week. Then twice. Then 3 times. And it wasn't just going out, it was how she prepared for it. New dresses. Tighter. Shorter. Perfume I'd never smelled before. She'd spend over an hour getting ready, more than she ever did for our dates. I remember one night clearly. She walked out of the bedroom wearing this black dress I'd never seen. It fit her perfectly, too perfectly. I actually paused and just looked at her. "You look amazing," I said. She barely glanced at me. "Yeah, thanks," she replied, checking herself in the mirror. No smile. No warmth. Just indifference. That's when something in my gut twisted. Still, I didn't confront her. I didn't accuse her. I kept telling myself I needed proof before I blew up my marriage over a feeling. Then came the first real red flag. I was doing laundry one evening while she was in the shower. Her phone buzzed on the counter. Normally, I wouldn't touch it. But something made me look. Just a notification preview. A name I didn't recognize. And a message that said, "Last night was insane. I can't stop thinking about you." My heart dropped so fast it felt physical. I didn't open the phone. I didn't scroll. I just stood there staring at that one line, replaying it over and over in my head. Last night? She told me she was at a wine bar with friends. I remember my hands shaking. I remember my chest tightening. But more than anything, I remember the denial. There has to be an explanation. Maybe it's a joke. Maybe it's someone else. Maybe. Yeah. I was that guy. When she came out of the shower, I acted normal. I didn't say a word. I watched her instead. Every movement. Every glance. Every second she spent on her phone. And that's when I noticed something else. She smiled at her screen. Not the polite smile she gave me these days. Not the forced one. A real one. I hadn't seen that smile in months. And it wasn't for me. That night I didn't sleep. I lay there next to her, staring at the ceiling, listening to her breathing, wondering how everything could feel so normal on the outside, and completely broken underneath. By morning, I had made a decision. I needed the truth. Not guesses. Not assumptions. Truth. I tried the obvious route first. The next day, I casually brought up the idea of checking her phone, jokingly, like couples sometimes do. Her reaction? Immediate defensiveness. "Why would you even ask that?" she snapped. I shrugged it off, tried to play it cool, but she kept going. Accusing me of not trusting her, of being insecure, of trying to control her. The more she talked, the more aggressive she became. And that's when it hit me. People don't react like that unless they have something to hide. That was the moment the doubt turned into something darker. Suspicion. And once that switch flips, it doesn't go back. Over the next few days, I started noticing patterns. She'd leave at specific times. Always around the same hour. Always dressed the same way. Always texting before she walked out the door. And sometimes she'd come back different. Not guilty. Not distant. Happy. Like she had just lived a completely different life for a few hours. That broke something inside me. I started checking small things. Her car mileage. Receipts. Even trash. I hated myself for it, but I couldn't stop. Still, nothing solid. Nothing I could confront her with. Just fragments. Just enough to drive me insane. Then one night, she forgot to delete something. A receipt in her purse. Not from a wine bar. From a cheap motel on the other side of town. Dated the same night as that message. That was it. That was the moment everything became real. My wife wasn't just lying. She was cheating. And suddenly, all the pieces fell into place. The distance. The phone. The nights out. The smiles that weren't for me. But I still didn't know who. And I didn't know how deep it went. So I made a decision I never thought I'd make. If she was going to lie to my face, I was going to find the truth myself. No more guessing. No more denial. That's when I started looking into hidden cameras. And once that idea entered my mind, there was no turning back. I wish I could say I took the high road. That I sat her down, told her what I knew, and handled it like a calm, rational adult. But that's not what happened. Because once that motel receipt hit my hand, something inside me snapped. Not loud. Not explosive. Just cold. I stopped trying to figure it out and started planning. Over the next 2 days, I ordered everything I needed. Small cameras. Discreet. Easy to hide. The kind you'd never notice unless you were specifically looking for them. I hated myself while doing it. Every click felt wrong. Every confirmation email felt like I was crossing a line I could never uncross. But then I'd remember that message. Last night was insane. And suddenly, I didn't feel guilty anymore. I felt justified. The first camera went into the living room. Second, the hallway. Third, the bedroom. That one took me the longest. I stood there for almost 10 minutes just holding it, staring at the space, asking myself if I was really about to do this. Because deep down, I already knew what I was going to find. And once you see something like that, you don't unsee it. But not knowing? That was worse. So I installed it. Carefully. Hidden. Invisible. By the end of that night, my own house didn't feel like home anymore. It felt like a setup. Like I was waiting for something to happen. And the worst part? I didn't have to wait long. 2 days later it happened. She told me she had plans with friends again. Same tone. Same routine. Same lack of eye contact. I nodded, played along, even told her to have fun. She left around 7 p.m. But this time, I didn't stay home. I sat in my car down the street. Watching. Waiting. And about 20 minutes later, a car pulled up. Not an Uber. Not a friend. A guy. Younger than me. Way younger. Maybe mid-20s. He didn't hesitate. Walked straight to the door like he'd done it before. And then, she opened it. Not surprised. Not confused. She smiled. That same smile I hadn't seen in months. And she let him in. I don't remember how long I sat there. Could have been minutes. Could have been an hour. Time didn't feel real anymore. Eventually, I drove away. I couldn't stay there. Not after seeing that. But I also couldn't just ignore it. So I went back home later that night, and for the first time, I checked the footage. My hands were shaking so badly I almost dropped my phone. I remember sitting on the edge of the bed, staring at the screen, telling myself, if it's not what you think, you stop. You apologize. You fix this. But it was exactly what I thought. The living room camera showed everything. He walked in like he owned the place. She didn't even pretend. No hesitation. No guilt. Just comfort. Familiarity. They talked. Laughed. Sat close. Too close. And then, it escalated. I won't go into every detail. But there was no doubt. No confusion. No. Maybe it's something else. My wife wasn't just cheating. She was completely different with him. Alive. Engaged. Happy. Everything she hadn't been with me in months. That hurt more than anything else. Not the betrayal. Not the lies. But the realization that she gave someone else the version of herself I thought I lost. I turned the video off. I couldn't keep watching. I just sat there in silence, staring at nothing, trying to process what I had just seen. Shock doesn't even begin to describe it. It felt like my entire reality had been replaced overnight. Like the last 8 years meant nothing. Like I had been living with a stranger. She came home around midnight. Acting normal. Actually, better than normal. She kissed me on the cheek. Asked how my night was. I looked at her, and for a split second, I almost laughed. Because the person standing in front of me wasn't the same person I had just watched on that screen. I played along. Told her it was fine. Asked about her friends. And she lied. So easily. So smoothly. Details. Names. Stories. None of it real. And that's when something shifted again. The anger came. Not loud. Not explosive. Just controlled. Focused. Because now I knew. And I had proof. But I wasn't ready to confront her yet. Not like this. Not without understanding everything. So the next few days, I kept watching. And what I discovered, it was worse than I imagined. This wasn't a one-time thing. It wasn't even new. This had been going on for months. Same guy. Same pattern. Same lies. Over and over again. In my house. In my space. In my life. And the more I watched, the less I recognized her. The woman I married? She didn't exist anymore. What I was seeing was someone else entirely. Someone who could look me in the eyes and lie without hesitation. Someone who could betray me and still come home and sleep next to me like nothing happened. By the end of that week, I wasn't confused anymore. I wasn't in denial. I wasn't even shocked. I was done. But before I ended it, I needed one more thing. I needed to hear her say it. To her face. No lies. No excuses. Just the truth. And I already knew exactly how I was going to make that happen. By the time I decided to confront her, I wasn't shaking anymore. That part was over. The shock, the confusion, the denial, all gone. What replaced it was something colder. Clearer. I knew exactly what she had done. I knew how long it had been happening. I had seen enough to destroy any illusion I had left about our marriage. Now I just needed to hear it from her. Not because I doubted the truth, but because I wanted to see how far she would go to keep lying. I chose a night when I knew she didn't expect anything. She came home around 10 p.m. Calm. Relaxed. Almost cheerful. That alone made my stomach turn. She kicked off her shoes, dropped her bag, and walked into the kitchen like it was just another normal evening. "Hey," she said casually. "You're still up?" I was sitting in the living room. Waiting. "Yeah," I replied. "We need to talk." That phrase alone was enough to shift her expression. Just slightly. Not panic. Not fear. Annoyance. "What is it now?" she asked, already sounding defensive. That tone, it used to intimidate me. Not anymore. I stood up slowly, walked over to the coffee table, and picked up my phone. "I just want you to be honest with me," I said. She crossed her arms immediately. "I am always honest. I don't even know why you keep acting like this." There it was. The first lie. Effortless. Automatic. I looked at her for a few seconds before speaking again. "Who is he?" Silence. For the first time, she didn't have an instant response. Her eyes flickered. Just for a moment. Confusion, then calculation. "What are you talking about?" she said, forcing a small laugh. It sounded fake. Hollow. I nodded slowly. "Okay," I said quietly. "We can do it like this." I unlocked my phone, opened the footage, and pressed play. I didn't say a word. I just turned the screen toward her. At first, she didn't react. She glanced at it casually, like she expected it to be nothing. Then her expression changed. Her body stiffened. Her eyes locked onto the screen. And for the first time since all of this started, she looked scared. Real fear. "Where did you get that?" she whispered. I didn't answer. I let the video play. Her. Him. My house. My couch. No denying it. No twisting it. No escaping it. "Turn it off," she said suddenly, her voice sharper now. I didn't. "Turn it off," she snapped, stepping forward. I pulled the phone back slightly, just out of her reach. "Now you want it off?" I said calmly. "But you had no problem doing it." Her face changed again. The fear shifted into anger. Aggressive. Defensive. "You were spying on me?" she shot back. Are you serious right now? That's insane. I almost laughed. Not because it was funny, but because it was exactly what I expected. No, I said. What's insane is bringing another man into our house. She scoffed, rolling her eyes. Oh my God, listen to yourself. You're acting like some kind of victim after violating my privacy. There it was again. Deflection. Blame. Anything but accountability. I stepped closer. You cheated on me, I said, my voice still steady. Multiple times. In our home. And you're talking about privacy? She didn't respond right away. Instead, she looked at me like she was trying to decide which version of the story to go with. Deny? Minimize? Twist it? She chose all three. It's not what you think, she started. I held up my hand. Don't, I cut her off. Don't insult me like that. Her jaw tightened. You don't understand, she continued anyway, her voice rising. You've been distant. You don't pay attention to me anymore. I felt alone. I stared at her. 8 years. 8 years together. And this is what it came down to. You felt alone, I repeated slowly. So you started sleeping with someone else? It wasn't just that, she snapped. He actually listens to me. He makes me feel something. That sentence. That one sentence hit harder than everything else. Not because of him, but because of what it said about her. About us. I nodded slowly. Then why are you still here? I asked. She hesitated. For the first time, she didn't have an answer. That silence said everything. I stepped back, creating distance between us. I gave you everything, I said quietly. Loyalty. Stability. A life. And I didn't ask for that kind of life. She shot back immediately. There it was. The truth. Raw. Unfiltered. She wasn't sorry. Not really. She was just caught. And now that she was exposed, she wasn't even trying to fix it. She was justifying it. I'm not going to sit here and be blamed for your mistakes, she added, her voice cold now. Maybe if you were a better husband, this wouldn't have happened. That was the moment something inside me finally broke. Not in a loud way. Not with yelling or anger. Just clarity. Complete and absolute clarity. The woman standing in front of me wasn't my wife anymore. Maybe she hadn't been for a long time. And everything I had been holding on to? It didn't exist. I took a deep breath. And made my decision. I'm done, I said. She blinked. What? I'm done, I repeated. This marriage is over. For the first time that night, she looked uncertain. Not emotional. Not regretful. Just unsure. Like she didn't expect me to actually say it. You're being dramatic, she said, trying to regain control. We can fix this. I shook my head. No, I said calmly. You can't fix something you don't think is broken. That hit her. I saw it in her expression. But it didn't last long. Because just like before, the anger came back. Fine, she snapped. If that's how you want it, then go ahead. Don't expect me to beg. I nodded. I wasn't planning on it. And just like that. 8 years ended in a conversation that felt like it meant nothing to her. But for me, it changed everything. Because now, there was no doubt left. No confusion. No second chances. Only one step left. And I was ready to take it. The next morning felt unreal. She was in the kitchen like nothing happened. Coffee. Phone. Same routine. I didn't say a word. I just packed a bag. Not in anger. Not in panic. Just done. Before I left, I placed the divorce papers on the table. I had already contacted a lawyer the night before. I guess some part of me knew this was coming. She looked at them. Then at me. For a second, I thought she might say something real. She didn't. Wow, she said flatly. You're serious. I nodded. I should have been sooner. And that was it. No yelling. No tears. No last attempt to fix anything. Just silence. I walked out of that house knowing I lost a wife, but saved myself. Looking back now, I realized something important. Cheating doesn't start with actions. It starts with choices. Small ones. Quiet ones. And by the time you see the truth, it's already too late. If you feel something is wrong, don't ignore it. Because sometimes, your instincts aren't paranoia. They're a warning.